By now, you already know that, from all my videos and everything, you should already know that wealth is all about the mind. Wealth is a mental state and not just, it's not something you walk towards. You don't, you know, might sound weird at first, but I've actually studied this. You don't walk towards wealth. You perceive wealth in your mind, like every other thing. You think of it in your mind first of all, before you bring it to the physical. It's like a person who wants to get married or a person who wants to get groceries, something as simple as that. The first thing you will do is to think about the kind of groceries you want to get. You don't just stand up and just decide, okay, today let me just rush to the grocery and just get there. And then you say, okay, when I get to the grocery store, I'll just start to think of what I want to buy. No. Although you could get to the grocery store and start to see other things you want to buy, but initially you had something that took you to the grocery store. Wealth and abundance is brought by a state of mind that I've explained before. That's not what I'm talking about today. What I'm talking about today is identity. When you identify yourself in a state of being abundantly supplied, you don't think of yourself as broke. You don't think of yourself as walking towards wealth. You think of yourself as already being very wealthy. This is a very key phrase, a very key feature to people that have become successful. When I've forgotten who it was, but he was asked about what would it take for a man to be sent to the moon. His reply, the will to do it. That was the simple reply. I can't remember where the quote was, but that was the reply, the will to do it. In other words, whatever you think in your mind that you want to achieve can be achieved by simply thinking about it. Now, there are other factors and steps to take, but that's the first step towards being abundantly supplied. Now, by constantly thinking of wealth and abundance, you attract it into your life. By constantly thinking of wealth and abundance, you would attract it into your life. And the first step that you want to take is to start looking at your life. If you want to start working as people that are already abundantly supplied, if you want to start working like a billionaire, because it's not necessarily fake it till you make it, but you are acting in alignment. You're acting in alignment with your goals. You project to the future. In my future self, what do I want to look like? What do I want to wear? What do I want to be doing? That's exactly what I'm doing right now. In my future self, I want to be inspiring people and talking to people. This is why I've decided to do this kind of videos, to do this, because I'm aligning myself with what I want to see myself as in the future. I want to be able to influence people and tell them, oh, this is how I became successful. In your future self, look at yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What do you want in your life? What kind of car are you driving? What kind of life are you living? I begin to work in alignment with the person that is already successful. Look at your financial state. Look at your financial situation and ask yourself, what belief do I hold right now that is making my financial state to remain like this? Every state a person finds himself, even in wealth, in life, stems from a point of belief. I heard a story about a person that they said he would never work again. They told this individual he got into an accident and the doctor said, look, you'll never work again. You're sorry for the bad news, But this guy, after hearing the news, his family was crying. He heard the news all well, but then what he did, he started to see himself walking, and he would constantly say, I'll walk again, I'll walk again. And then he started to believe that he will walk again. The family, obviously wanting to sympathize with him, they would reassure him that, okay, yes, you will walk again, but just take things easy for now. They didn't believe him at all. They didn't believe anything he was saying. But this individual had a precise vision of him walking again, had a precise vision of him taking the steps, and every day he will say it, that he will walk again, he will walk again, he will walk again. Oh, he had a stroke. It was a stroke. It wasn't the leg. I just remember it was a stroke. So, and the person was, that's besides the point, but the person was constantly saying, they will move, that he will move, he will move, he will move. He started by moving one of his fingers from his mind. Started by moving one of his fingers. Before he knew it, he could move his arms. And then soon he started to sit on his bed, and he was able to sit on his bed and sit back. And the doctors were surprised, they were astonished. You are supposed to be paralyzed, you're supposed to not be able to move. But this guy, constantly thinking about, moving again, he eventually was able to get up from the bed and move around. By just vision of the mind, he was able to do this from the vision of the mind. So, if you hold a belief about your financial state, and that belief, like the belief that this guy could have had was, oh, I can't walk again, and he'll just hold that belief in his thought. And when people ask him, what are you doing in bed, he'll say, oh, the doctor said I can't walk again. And that individual will continue to be paralyzed for the rest of his life. But he decided to eliminate that belief and substitute it with a belief that he's going to walk again. It's the same thing. A belief in a person's mind is very strong towards their financial life. Very, very strong. And these beliefs are very subtle. It's very subtle. You don't recognize it. You don't recognize this belief because they've been implanted in your subconscious mind, and it has formed something called a paradigm. A paradigm is something that was implemented in your mindset right from birth. It could be your parents talking about lack. Oh, we can't afford that right now, honey. Oh, that's too expensive for us. Oh, why don't you pity us? We can't do this. And then because of this kind of statements that you hear every single day, you believe that yourself and your body, you are limited to what you can achieve. Now, whilst you can start affirming things when you grow up, you can start saying, oh, I want to be wealthy, I want to be a millionaire. Your subconscious mind is already in a state of lack and limitation. The individual is already working in a state of continual limitation because of his paradigm. What you want to do is, you want to first of all shift your mindset. Trace the belief to the origin. Where did it start? Where did I get this belief from? Why do I believe that I can't, achieve this and this? Once you trace it to the origin, reshaping that belief, put a new belief there, and constantly tell your subconscious mind, reassure yourself, I can't do this. I am not limited. I'm above my limitations. Constantly shift your belief system in order for you to achieve what you want to achieve. Next step for you to get wealthy is constantly notice things around your life that you are, that talks about wealth. Constantly notice things around your life do you notice that when you're thinking about something, for some reason, that thing just tends to happen? Could be like maybe you're thinking about a friend, and all of a sudden that friend just calls you, or you thought about a car and suddenly you start to see it everywhere. It's the same thing. If you think about wealth, affluence, and abundance all the time, and you notice abundance all the time, you will start to see things of abundance reflected in your life. When you give gratitude, that's the next point, gratitude. When you give gratitude for what you are, but for what you've already received, you will receive more of what you already have, and you will receive more of the things that you notice in your life. So start to notice things of abundance in your life. Notice little things. It could be somebody bought you a cup of coffee. It could be somebody, opened up a parking space for you. It could be somebody just decided to take you out for no reason. It could be an unexpected check. It could be something as little as your parents giving you some money or your friends buying you something. Very little things of abundance. Notice little things of abundance in your life. Take note of them. And as you take note of them, write it down. It's very important. You write it down. Oh, today, this person did this and this for me. Or today, I'm grateful because of this and this that happened. Today, I'm grateful because of this. As you do this daily, you realize that your list becomes longer. You start to have more things that you are grateful for. Before you know it, the extent of what you are grateful for begins to expand. In other words, if you are grateful for a cup of coffee, somebody might, in the next 2 months, give you a whole coffee maker, or a whole coffee jar, or whatever you call it, right? And then you're grateful for the coffee jar, and then somebody just says, it gives you something more, something bigger. In other words, the more of what you are grateful for, the more of it you attract into your life. The more of what you complain about, the more of it you attract in your life. If you want to attract wealth, abundance, and affluence into your life, always be grateful for wealth, abundance, and affluence. Never speak about your lack. Never speak about, oh, I don't know why this person did this and this to me. Never speak about anything that you don't want in your life. Always only speak about what you want in your life. Always think about abundance. Always be grateful. Be grateful for abundance, for wealth, and affluence. This is how you attract it into your life. And then you start to, as you're grateful for it, you start to identify yourself as a person who is always enjoying abundance. You start to identify as an individual who is always wealthy, as an individual who, expects more. This identity would align your whole reality with people that are already abundantly supplied. Before you know it, you start to meet people. Connections will start to occur in your life in such unexpected ways that you can't even explain. This is reality, not wishful thinking. Reality. You do it more often, you will see the difference. For 30 days, you do this, you try this for 30 days, you will see the difference in your life. You start to attract people in your life that are also, very wealthy and in the same mindset as yours. As you become grateful for what you already have and what you are expecting, the next step towards abundance is visualization. You visualize yourself as already being successful. I mentioned before that never speak about your lack, never speak about your loss, never speak about limitations. Also, never see yourself as poor. Never tell people that you're poor. Always visualize yourself in a state of wealth, in a state of abundance. Visualize yourself every day. If it takes you 30 to 40 minutes every day, set out time blocks for yourself where you say, okay, at this time, I'm going to just stay very calm and visualize the abundance that I want. It's not obsessing over your abundance. As you visualize it, you let it go. You don't start obsessing and worrying about it. But how would it come? How would this happen? You don't think about that. You don't even care about it. You just say, oh, what do I want in life? Okay, I I want this car. I want this kind of house. Okay, wow, this house will be very beautiful. You visualize it in your mind and then you give gratitude for it. Thank you. Thank you, God, for this that I've received. Thank you for this abundance. Thank you for this house. Thank you for this, place that I'm staying in right now. I'm not giving you formulas that don't work. I've done this in my life. Even where I am right now, the country that I am in right now was because of visualization, affirmation, and not just affirmation, but also gratitude. So be grateful for what you want. Be very grateful for what you want. Be grateful for what you already have and be grateful for what you want. This is how abundance is brought into your life. When you visualize these things in your mind, you release it into the atmosphere. And then what happens is inspiration will start to come to your mind on what to do in order for you to be in alignment with your visualization. Once this inspiration comes like a very sharp thought. It just drops in your mind. If you don't act on it, it leaves. It's just very simple. Once it comes, it leaves. It comes, it leaves. In my country, from where I'm coming from, they will make jokes that, our light was very unstable there. And then they will make jokes that it's like a flashing light, a NEPA light, just comes and leaves. Anyways, keep your mind on what you want and visualize it. When you visualize it in your mind, inspiration will come. Once the inspiration comes, you act with precision. Very important that you act. Make it a habit to act deliberately to make mistakes. Act in such a way like, oh yes, let me act so I can make mistake. Many people don't want to act because they don't want to make mistake. Act so that you can make mistake. What will happen as you act is you will begin to get better the more you act. And then people will start to come towards that energy that you're radiating from acting. Action is you doing something about your emotion. You felt something and then you're doing something about your emotion. And emotions, they are energy in motion, literally. And what happens when you put energy in motion, like I mentioned before, is like attracts. So once you put your energy in motion, you attract people into your life that would also reinforce that state that you are in. They would also push you towards success. And then what will happen is soon you'll form a mastermind group or mastermind alliance, and you will start to attract into your life abundance, wealth, affluence, anything that you desire, because you've decided to live in a state of abundance. You decided to act upon what you've seen, and then you've decided to identify yourself as a person who is abundantly supplied.